Oh,
All
yeah.
right. Welcome, Renee. I'm so excited to have you on. I am this is our first time meeting each other. So, if you want to give a quick introduction to me and to the listeners, give us an idea of what you did in the military and what you do now, why you joined, all the things.
Sure. Thank you, Kristen. It's great to meet you too. Hopefully one day we'll
Yeah.
do it in person. But
Yes.
yeah, so my name, my name is Renee Ventrice, and yeah, I'm a military veteran. I was in the Navy from 1989 to 1995, and I was a cryptologist. So satellite communications, which doesn't really exist anymore. Now it's more cybersecurity. Kind of cool
hmm
seeing what they're doing now in my old rate in the Navy as what my husband still does. He's also a Navy veteran. We were both CPs. Served overseas in Germany and Spain. Absolutely fantastic. Wouldn't trade it for the world. My military experience was incredible. But it also exposed the fact that I was not cut out for the military as an entrepreneur. Believe it or not, entrepreneurial ideas are not exactly wanted when you're
Yeah.
just this person supposed to be sitting on a position doing what they say. So I definitely entrepreneured my way out of the service and used all the fantastic lessons learned to build my business.
That's awesome. How was your time in Germany? That sounds awesome.
I would move back to Germany in a heartbeat. It's the first language that I ever learned to speak that came easy to me. You know, trying to speak French, trying to speak Spanish. My Spanglish is terrible. Actually, my Spanglish is good. My Spanish is bad. But
Yeah.
Germany felt like a real fit, and we were in the south. We were south of Munich in a little
Okay.
installation called Bad Aibling, and yeah, it was the most amazing, eye-opening experience. I've never even dreamed of what I experienced in Germany, so it was pretty cool.
That is so cool. My brother was stationed in Germany and they loved it. I was supposed to go visit him before I shipped out to boot camp in 2013
Mhm.
but he got sick and I just couldn't risk getting what he was sick with and not shipping off to boot camp on time because I was going to come back like 2 days before my ship date. Um,
Ah, yeah.
but yeah,
Where did you
so
serve? What branch were you in, and where did you serve?
I was in the Navy and I was in from 2013 up until this past September of 2023. So I did 10 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I was an air traffic controller.
Oh, I did read that about you. How cool must that
Yeah.
have been?
I really enjoy air traffic control. If I didn't find my, like, not to be like cheesy, but like my true passion in life, I would probably still be doing air traffic control. So definitely like a backup plan if I ever feel like going back to a 9 to 5. That's what I would do
Yeah,
for sure.
sure. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And I bet it was really male dominated too, right? Or by now is it really not that way?
Um, it's I think everything is still male dominant. But I want to say I worked with about 80 controllers and maybe 10 to 12 females from all the ranks. And then um, once I picked up I was a chief my last year and I was one of two female chiefs on the whole base, which was
Yeah.
crazy. Or
Which
for
base was that?
I was at NAS Patuxent River. It's an air station in Maryland, like south of DC.
Hmm,
Um,
mhm.
so really small. The command itself was only like 200 people, I think. But then we had all of these tenant commands, all the squadrons that were on the base too, that were 30,000 or who knows what. But
Right.
yeah, it was a pretty small. The controllers and then the MAs, the military police, made up all of all of the command pretty much.
Well, for
Yeah, and
the
I still live in Maryland where I separated from and loving
oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Not far from me. Yeah, we're in Northern Virginia, just west
Oh,
of
cool.
DC. I live in wine country out here, so you probably heard of some of the different wineries and breweries that are
Oh
here in Northern
yeah.
Virginia.
Do you know where like Keswick vineyards are?
Oh, of course, yeah. I did
Yeah.
my wine certification with he was the winemaker from there, Stephen Barnard. He's not there anymore,
Oh, cool.
But I've got to catch up with them. But yeah, we had a
Yeah.
great time at Kansas a couple of years back.
I photographed a wedding there like 2 years ago and loved it. I
Oh, nice.
If we moved from Maryland, that area, like Charlottesville kind of
Hmm.
Virginia, I would definitely consider moving to that area just because the weddings are so pretty.
Yeah, so we've got to get back out there. It's been a while. What I focused on, well, I really didn't focus on anything once I separated from the military. My resume looks like 6,000 resumes all balled up into one and thrown onto a piece of paper. But it's always led me into business development. Any job that I had, I was creating, positions for myself where there was like a hole. I would be doing the job. I did this in the military too. And again, this is what was not appreciated. But when there was, I would do my job and then I'd be like, we're missing this component. If we added this component, it would, detract the friction from this, or it would just do this, better thing.
Hmm.
And so I was doing that at a lot of jobs, and some jobs appreciated it, and other jobs took my idea, created the position, and then gave it to somebody else that would be less expensive than I was.
Oh, how
So
nice of them.
yeah, right. So it's like, okay, it is time for me to become an entrepreneur for real. And
Hmm.
so it's been quite an interesting journey. But part of that was my passion and my husband's passion for wine, becoming a sommelier, and then using that, wine knowledge and wine passion to create a successful winery tour company.
That is awesome. Did you use your GI Bill to become a sommelier?
I did not. I didn't even think
What?
about it. But first of all, I got
Yeah.
out in 95. So
Okay.
by that time, I didn't even know if I was still eligible to use it for anything. If I am, I will try. But I
Yeah.
was not cut out for college, even though I had a college scholarship, which I
Hmm.
found out about on graduation day. Even though I was good at test taking, I was horrible as a student. I didn't like to study. I didn't like going to school. I never wanted to go to
Yeah.
college. So while I
Hmm.
was in the service, I was enlisted and I was CLEPing almost everything. I CLEPed almost my full associate's degree. And I
That's
told myself,
awesome.
yeah, I can take a test. Oh man, I can cram. I don't retain the information.
Yeah. No
But
one
I can get
does
an
for
A on
CLEP
it.
tests.
I can get an A on a test without even,
Hmm.
thinking twice because I will just shove it all in. Short-term memory was awesome. I would just get it all back out and then get the grade and continue
Yeah.
on knowing what I knew before the test. But I just I didn't want to go to school, and but I did want to finish my degree after I got out and use my GI Bill. But just so many other things happened in life that it just never became a priority. So here I am, 53 years old. I don't have a degree, but I made a six-figure company working it part-time. And now I'm helping
Yeah.
other companies as a relationship marketing coach to be able to do the same. And I'm just really, I've learned to really use what I learned in the military as far as discipline, planning, logistics, all the things I needed to know to be a good sailor. I use those things, but then I also combine my entrepreneurial, creativity and innovation and love for that part of my life to be able to be this kind of a coach that just really, I don't know, brings people along. It's
Yeah.
very strange. I had to really learn how to appreciate what I know and who I am naturally over appreciating what I learned and finding out that that doesn't have nearly the amount of value as what my natural self is. It's
Hmm.
the coaching cohort that I'm a part of has really helped me to understand why I valued what I learned so much more because what learning isn't always easy. Figuring out
Yeah.
something gives you this sense of accomplishment when you finish it. But when something comes to you really naturally and really easily, you're just like, oh, that's just what I do. That's just who I am. And then
Hmm.
when someone points out to you, yeah, but everybody doesn't just do that naturally or isn't that naturally. You've got a gift that you should really, ping in on. You should really lean into this gift. And I was like, is it really a gift? But then the more I started leaning into it, the more people started saying, I can't do that. I've never thought of it that way. I need your help. I could really use somebody like you in my life. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess maybe those natural gifts do mean something. Let's
Yeah.
monetize.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's can you like dive deeper into like your I feel like your entrepreneurship journey is pretty extensive, it sounds like. Like, what did you do wine tours, right?
Mhm.
And so do you still do that, or are you more into like the coaching? Can you like go back to like day one of your when you left the Navy, I guess?
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, so number one, you probably weren't born yet. Don't tell me. I don't care.
I was
Yeah,
alive.
right. You were alive. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I left the Navy in '95, my husband was still in, and so we got stationed back in Germany, back at the same base that I was at when I was, 19 to 21 years old. I don't recommend going back to a base where you were single after you're married. Pro tip
Yeah.
number one.
Oh God.
We survived it, but it was just kind of
Mhm.
funny. Like, okay, well, just we might run into some exes who run bars, restaurants, whatever. Anyway, I digress. But we went to Germany, and in Germany, I did everything from running the MWR. I ran the teen program. I decided to become a DJ because the bass DJ just sucked, and I was like, I can do that. So we bought a bunch of CDs and carrying crates around, and so I would DJ there on the bass, off the bass because I spoke German, still speak German. And then I was doing exercise with some friends upstairs at the MWR, and we were doing these videos. I'm like, oh, this routine is so stupid. Oh my God. And they're like, okay, if you can do better, make up a routine. And I was like, okay. So we had our little boom box with a mixtape in it, and I did this routine. They're like, okay, that was really great. You should become a certified fitness instructor. So I was like, maybe, okay, let me see what could be fun. Good way to stay in shape and get paid. So I became a certified fitness instructor in Germany and a personal trainer. And I found that I really loved all that creativity. I loved creating the routines. I loved creating, fitness plans for people. So I
Yeah.
did that for almost 20 years. But in addition to that, I've always done multiple jobs. I don't know why. I'm just that person who gets different things. I benefit in different ways. Different parts of my brain love all the variety. So I've
Hmm.
always had a bunch of jobs. When we PCS back to the States, that was in '98. So 3 years later, we went to Pensacola, Florida, where I continued, training and teaching fitness classes. Pregnant with my son Gino, who just turned 25 a few weeks ago. So
Oh.
we decided to set up our life based on my husband's income so that I could be home with our son and not have to worry about working. That's another pro tip I would give anybody when they are maybe coming back from overseas and they're trying to figure out, the different cost of living. That's a story in itself.
Yeah.
I'd never, but I would definitely say that that was one of the things if I was going back to tell someone who was, either separating from the military or coming back to the States after being overseas for almost a decade, like we were, base your income on what you can afford from the service so everything else can be gravy and you can really, prepare for separation by having investments, savings, things like that.
Hmm. No, that's
So,
very smart.
so that's why, yeah. So I didn't work the first few years, until my son was in preschool at around 3 years old and said, Mom, finger painting's at 2:30. If you pick me up at 2 o'clock, I miss it. So can you pick me up after finger painting? And at this point, I knew, okay, time for me to go to work part time. This boy does not need me to pick him up early. So I did everything: luxury travel. I worked for a vehicle history report company. I left that job after I hit that glass ceiling. That was the job where they took my idea, made the position, and hired somebody else. And they had the nerve to try to ask me to train that person after they didn't give
Uh,
me the job that I created. I was like,
no, here's my 2 weeks notice.
yeah, no, you can
Yeah.
have my 2 weeks and
Yeah.
I'm out. Ended up getting contacted by a magazine to work for them. They're like, hey, you've got these skills of somebody that we need. You looking for a job? And I was like, as a matter of fact, I am. So
That's awesome.
So I worked for a magazine, doing some sales and things like that for a while. Again, I got to the point there where what they wanted from me was not in line with what I figured I should be doing. So I left there and started working for a company, a dog walking and pet sitting company. They had just started a pet spa. And they had no idea how to incorporate it into running it. It was just two women. Their pet sitting and dog walking business was booming. The pet spa was becoming way too big for them. So I was a client. I have an 18-year-old, 17-year-old Jack Russell. He's at my feet right
Oh,
now. And so I was already one of their early clients. So I was like, I will run your pet spa, and built that into an almost $2 million division of the company within 4 years, I think it was. And
wow.
so then they were able to franchise from there. So
That's
I became,
awesome.
yeah, it was really cool. I became their VP of marketing for the franchise, helped to get that business off the ground, helped to start their pet school. Ended up leaving that job. I thought it was going to be a career, but just certain things, again, just not in line with the way that I wanted to do business. Um, we had already started our Cork and Keg Tours business by the time I left that business. But the biggest thing that really forced us into 100% entrepreneurship was 2 days after we dropped our son off at WVU, West Virginia University. My husband got laid off from his job, right? And so,
Oh.
yeah, so I was still full time with the pet spa company. He was like, yeah, military veteran, served 12 years. I know all these people. The right job will come along. I'm not worried. And I wasn't worried either. I'm like, yeah, babe, take a break. Do some honeydews. Oh, here's my list of things you can do while you're not working.
Yeah.
So he did that. He binge watched Walking Dead, but months and months went by and the right job wasn't coming along. And so he's like, I'm sick of one jerk's opinion being in the way of us paying our mortgage. It's time for us to become, financially independent and chart our own path. Music to my ears because I've been an entrepreneur since birth. I was like, yes, let's go for something. And we had already been the kind of people that folks look to for referrals. We'd been living in the area for almost 20 years. We knew people who owned
Hmm.
wineries and breweries. And so we were like, let's start a winery and brewery tour company. So we sat down on the couch, we started spitballing some names, came up with Cork and Keg Tours, and then we were just off and running. And this is where my military, background definitely came into play, where I was like, okay, before we even launch this, number one, let's build an audience. Let's build all these people up that are going to be so excited. They are going to be chomping at the bit to book with us. And let's look at all the places that we're going to go and make sure that they expect us and that we are operating the way that they would want. So my husband's down with that. He's the same way. He's got the book. He's writing down all these profiles. I'm just, but he writes things, catalogs things, organizes things. He did not debrief himself from the military the same way I did.
Yeah.
Completely debrief myself. So we launched November 2016 is when we started the company. And then the minute the ink was dry on the VA loan for the van, he got a full-time job. That
Wow.
was December. Yeah, we didn't even have the van in hand yet. We had just made all the commitments to pay for it and build it out and all the things. So it's like, oh, okay, what are we gonna do? So we just made it a part-time weekend business. For like, let's just work it. Let's just do this. This
Hmm.
is still a great idea. This can be our retirement plan. And so that's what we did. We took the whole business, made it into a part-time enterprise, and it grew and grew and grew. And suddenly, we're at the point where we had to hire people. Um, well, before we had to hire people, COVID happened. Um, we were talking about franchising it in February of 2020 because we knew we were on track to make that six figures, even though we were just working it part time. So we were like, it's time to grow this. So that was February. And then March 2020 came along and said, no, this is not when you grow.
Yeah.
So, so, um, so we ended up March through July couldn't do tours. I quit my job already. We're already all in on making this a full-time, amazing business. So while we were unable to operate, he still had his full-time gig. But while I was unable to operate the tours, I decided to use Facebook. So I was just like, this will take my time while I'm going to learn how to do all these things. And so I taught myself how to make a cartoon out of myself, and I taught myself Instagram and learned more about, Twitter, which it's X. Look, I haven't even
Yeah.
gone there yet.
Nope.
I can't. Yeah, I can't. Just can't. So I learned all these things and figured out how to make videos and everything. And I started doing Facebook Lives from my van. because, what else was I going to do? I have this beautiful Mercedes Sprinter in my driveway. I have a refrigerator full of wine, a wine fridge, just racks and racks of all this wine. So yeah, so I'm just grabbing bottles of wine, going out in my van and drinking wine in the van with all the lights on, saying, "Hey, when this is all over, this is what you're gonna get." Somehow it started morphing into interviewing other people. I would start interviewing business owners who were still open and what they needed, restaurants that were doing curbside pickup or family meals, wineries that were doing pickups. We started helping the wineries do deliveries. We just did all these things to stay visible. And at one point, one of the people I was interviewing said, "You should totally do karaoke while you're in your van." I was like, I should.
Oh
I
my
can't.
God.
Are you a karaoke fan?
I watch, I do not partake.
Listen, hand me any microphone and I'm ready. Just at
Oh my
any
God. I need to see the videos.
look back, look up Renee Ventrice karaoke, and you will put it on mute at a certain point. But
I'm writing
yeah,
it down right now.
it was so much fun. I'm by myself at a band. Imagine now it's just me and my
Mhm.
phone on a little tripod, singing into my phone and dancing and making up lyrics to words like "dancing with myself" and "keep your hands to yourself," like all the whole coronavirus.
Mhm.
Meta finds out what I'm up to, and they contacted me and said, "Hey, we love what you're up to. You're bringing, joy to people who are by themselves quarantining, and you seem like you're having such a great time, even though you might lose your business. What if we were to come out and film you and do a profile on you?" And I said, "What if?
Wow.
Let's go."
That's so cool.
It was really amazing. We're still getting business from it. That was in July 2020. They came out for two
Mhm.
days and they filmed the spotlight. It's on entrepreneur.com and it's also on their Facebook for Business, page. Over 18 million views. It went super
Wow.
viral.
That's
Yeah, and it was
awesome.
fun. Yeah, so it was really all about being resilient and how you, deal when a big monkey wrench is thrown into your life,
Yeah.
like COVID. And businesses that figured out how to generate multiple revenue streams, how to
And how
stay
to adapt.
relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, adapt, exactly, adapt and overcome. I mean, that's exactly
Mhm.
what we're taught. People who figured out how to do that not only survived the shutdown, but thrived after it because their business was completely transformed by then. And so it's continued to grow. We hired 7 employees at the end of 2021. We still have 5 employees who work regularly, and then a couple who are more ad hoc, more like 1099. But the company has grown so much, it's outgrown us. So now we're selling, and we are in the
Oh.
place where we want someone who has the same passion to grow the company that we had to build the company.
Mhm.
So we're hoping to find the right person to be able to do that and see the brand continue to rise.
That is so cool. Um, so you just take people on your Sprinter van, like, through different vineyards and wine tastings, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's that and then it's more. So a limo would pick you up, take you where you want to go, let you plan your route, and then take you back home whenever and then charge you for, whatever transportation. We are a full-on experience. So
Mhm.
when people book with us, we make all the reservations. We have connections with all the different wineries, breweries. I call them the drinkeries in rural
Yeah.
Loudoun County, in DC's wine country. So what we do is we plan that whole thing out and we just give them this amazing VIP experience while they're on the ground. If they need help with lodging, dinner reservations, brunch reservations, alpaca farm visits, I mean, whatever it is they want, we are
Yeah.
full on concierge services. And then my tour concierges on the ground will take care of everything. They keep everything on a tab. They fetch drinks if they need to. They serve up lunch for the people if they need to. They support the staff at the wineries and breweries to make sure that we are in and out, for our next reservation, but also that we are good stewards and good, ambassadors for their venues as well as our own company.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do all of that, and it's awesome. We're on some international websites coming up here soon. We're
Oh,
already
cool.
cross partnered with a company called Touring Italy. um, the most amazing experience in Italy. He is full service, the same thing that we do, except for the country of Italy instead of our fun wine country here in DC's wine country. So we're across marketed with them. I've got some other things in the hopper for whoever the new owner is to cross promote with the company out of Athens as well. So
Oh,
we're
cool.
really, yeah, just taking it to a whole new level. Just really making it global, global tourism experiences versus transportation to and from places.
Hmm. Wow. So this is like I'm giving you an opportunity to kind of brag about yourself a little bit, but what would you say, like, so many people have these ideas of starting a business or starting a just side hustle, whatever they want to do, and like the saying that most small businesses fail in the first 5 years. And
Mhm.
um, like, what do you think you did different that made you so successful so quickly and survive a pandemic? And how can people translate what you did into their own business ideas?
I love that question, because it was the pandemic that actually cracked open the coach in me. So when you're starting a small business, yeah, those first 5 years are crucial. You have to be prepared for growth. And also, you have to be prepared. So, with keeping at least 3 months worth of your expenses in your account from jump. I mean, as quickly as you can, make sure that if something bad happens, you at least have 3 months to cover every single bill you've got, and make sure that you don't cut marketing. If you are starting to struggle, the last thing you want to do is disappear from people. So the idea that marketing is an expense versus an investment in company improvement is a mindset shift that I help my clients to figure out. When I was, sitting around, first crying in my wine glass during 2020 pandemic and bored because I quit my full-time job already, I decided to
Hmm.
help others during that time. I'm like, listen, I was in these networking groups online that used to meet in person, but now obviously it's all virtual. And the same story was happening. I don't know how to scale this business. I'm going to give up. I don't know what to do. And these really good businesses were getting ready to throw in the towel. And I was like, I'll help you. Let me tell you what I did to start my business, and maybe those things can help you. So I helped one woman who was she had a full time gig, but she was making these beautiful edible art charcuterie boards. And she was going to throw in the towel. And I'm like, why? She's like, well, people think I'm too expensive. They don't, know where to find me. I'm just having a hard time, being able to do all the work to make the boards, but also advertise myself. So I just gave her the strategy that I used to do it. And I said, listen, if we put these things out there, you're going to get a lot of business. Are you ready for that? She said, bring it on. So she was making just a few $100s a month doing this part time. I helped her to put together a strategy to put herself out there in social media, introduced her to like the wineries and breweries, so that when the pandemic was over, she already had connections in place that were going to be able to launch all these things. Not even 2 months later, she's like, hey, Renee, how do you make it stop? And I was like, make what stop? And she said, make it stop. I've got 100 orders for Easter, and I can only do 50. I'm going to have to hire someone. You have to turn off the tap of all these customers. And I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're
Yeah.
going to make a big sign that says sold out and put it on your social media, and then give yourself like a week before you take next orders, and say new orders are being taken for this time only, so you can decompress after that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're gonna have to hire someone. You're gonna have to find someone to work with you.
Yeah.
Maybe make it an intern. If your daughter, make your husband do it in exchange for, free charcuterie and, extra kisses, whatever you want to do. But you got to make this happen. And so, she was a hard charger. She did it. She went from making like 500 a month to one month she made over $10,000. And
Wow.
she was someone who listened to absolutely everything I said and did it. And I was like, dang, that is so cool. And I think I charged her like a few $100s. And then I was like, look, just make a donation to Veterans Moving Forward. That's my charity of choice. Just make a donation. I don't need to be paid. So she told people. So those people were like, hey, Renee, can you help us? Yes, I can help you.
Yeah.
And so I was doing the same thing, just donate to vets moving forward. It's fine. So at a certain point, now the pandemic's over, but now I'm still getting all these people looking for help. But now I have to get back out there doing tours. We still haven't hired employees yet. And someone was like, well, what do you charge for coaching? And I was like, I'm just mentoring people. I'm not really a coach. They're like, the hell you're not. You should be charging people for this. People pay thousands of dollars a month to get the gems that you're teaching folks. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
Let me look into this. Sure enough, there's just a great market, but there's also a great need.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I started making the transition into really leaning into being a coach and seeing that my impact there, one, was more of a passion for me. Two was something that was needed out there that these other, places just weren't giving. I mean, the kind of things that I share and tell people, you can't Google and find. It's not a cookie cutter, way of doing business. It's really a
Yeah.
customized coaching. And for whatever reason, one of my natural, I don't know, superpowers is being able to understand, hear what you're telling me, what your business is, what's going on, and then drawing these uncommon commonalities between your business and your community, and then teaching people how to put those together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm moving into now. As we sell the business, I'm still going to continue being a wine, it's kind of wine coaching too, being a wine educator. I do these wine events where I teach people how to pair wine with life. Again, instead of if you go on to Google and say, hey, tell me about Pinot Noir, it's not going to tell you that Pinot Noir has the personality of that very fun friend that you have that seems like they're all surface, but meanwhile they have a PhD and they are a lawyer by day, but yet they're the ones who will party down until 6 a.m. with you. They're the ones who always bring bail money just in case, right? Google's not going to tell you that about Pinot
Yeah.
Noir. It's going to tell you where it grows well and what the terroir is and what you smell in your glass and all those things. So I was like, everybody does that. I'm going to tell people what personality that wine has.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it up so I can't be wrong.
Oh my God. You should make like a reel or a TikTok like about like dressing up as different wines if you haven't done that already. That would be so funny. And
That
like
is such
which
a good
wine is the
idea.
karaoke star and
Right, right. I do have wine personalities for about 20 different varietals, and I talk about them at my event. But I am just, Christian, TikTok, it's just such a time suck for me. I mean, my
it is.
son told me once I said something, and he was like, Mom, that's totally TikTokable. You should do that. And I'm like, what, really? So I
Yeah.
made up an account and I called it Jam with Nene. Nene's my nickname. So I was like, Jam with Nene. And us military, everything's an acronym. So Jam was just a minute with Nene. So Jam with Nene. And so I would play a good funky little track behind it. And for 1 minute, I would talk about whatever it was. I love this one. So this is the first one I did. So I was talking about the kids were saying like no cap, right? And I'm like, what? Right? You know what I'm talking about, right,
hmm
Kristen? Like you look really, really young, so you probably have said no cap and
No,
used
I
your
don't
proper.
say it. I don't.
You know.
I'm
Well,
almost 30, so I fall in the millennial category.
oh my gosh, no, I had you at like maybe 25, like my son's age.
Oh no,
But
I'm 28.
oh my gosh, okay, well you're holding up well.
Thank you.
So yeah, so sorry, I gotta plug in my computer. So yeah, so my son, and his friends were like, no cap, whatever, and I'm like, for me, no cap means I am not wearing a hat. But for my son,
Oh God.
that's what he said. He was like, "Oh shit, mom, that's really funny." I was like, "So, can I put on a hat?" And I was like, "That's if you're my age. If you're my son's age, no cap means no lie. But you can't say I'm not capping. You can't say I'm not lying. You would just have to say no cap. But you can't like make it a verb. So I
Yeah.
just, I'm just gonna stick with my definition of no cap, no hat. Any questions? And then this has been just a minute with Nene, right? So I was just doing those, and they were funny and they were fun. But then I would find myself scrolling through TikTok, and I'm like, oh my God, I have way too much work to do. I can't do this. Well, then I forgot which email address I did the TikTok account through. So now I can't even get back into that Jam with Nene
Oh.
account. And they're just terrible about helping you to recover things. So who knows
hmm
where it is. I do know that TikTok does generate a lot of business, and it's something that
Yeah,
I recommend to a lot of my clients, especially my clients in food, my clients who are funny and have big personalities, my clients who have things that are very, Instagrammable, that are scenic or that are experiential. I know that if we have a TikTok account, we will get another, rack of clients. And at first I thought it was for people your age or younger. But
it's
then my
not.
good friends are sending me these TikTok things and like, where did you find this place to, where did you find this chauffeur? She's like, oh, on TikTok. I'm like, seriously? You're taking business advice from TikTok where kids are eating cinnamon and doing all these things? She's like, there's so much more to it than that. So I know I'm gonna have to tick or talk, whatever they call it soon. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I have recently October was an insanely busy month for me, so my only priority was to just like serve my clients and not worry about like social media and stuff, but I know that like for I'm a wedding photographer if I haven't said that already, and like I'm a very my business is all visual. So like social media is
Right.
huge for promoting my business, and that's my actually starting today since it's November 1st. I'm doing like a 30-day real TikTok, YouTube short challenge and trying to post one a day for a whole month. And that is going to be a full time workload, just
Oh, for
balancing
sure.
that and trying to make it like good, engaging, lead generating videos. And it is, but TikTok is extremely powerful and I've seen it from my friends. So I'm excited for it to see what happens with it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
gotta watch it on the like actually interacting with people. I just need to post and then put the phone away because I got too much like you said, I have too much stuff to do to sit here and scroll. It's
Let me
hard.
ask you this. So does TikTok have the same kind of like the more that you engage, the more followers you get, kind of like Instagram is, or do you not have to engage and you can still get plenty of eyes and followers even if you never say anything to anybody else or follow a bunch of other accounts?
I think I'm still new to TikTok. I haven't been consistent to see like real growth yet. But I'm pretty sure TikTok is more like as long as you like kind of create a pattern on what you do, then it's happy
Hmm?
with you. Whereas like
Okay.
Instagram wants you on all the time and
Yeah,
interacting and like anything they can do to keep you on the app and it's exhausting.
exactly.
But I think if
Yeah, I even
TikTok is
tell
like
people, oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, just TikTok wants you to be consistent no matter if you're posting. I think they want you to post at least every day from what I've
Hmm.
read, but I'm not sure how like the interacting is.
Okay. Yeah, because I wonder about that because one of the things that I do teach, my clients is about, you can make all the great content in the world, but if nobody's looking at it, you're screaming into an empty room.
Mhm.
So how do you get those eyeballs when there is so much competition? And one of the
Yeah.
things that I do, it's why I call myself a relationship marketing coach, because you have your online relationships and your on the ground relationships. And, you have to treat them both with a lot of, love and care in order for them to
Mhm.
think of you for you to become top of mind. So that's basically what I've moved myself into, aside from the fun wine events. Who doesn't want to day drink and get paid for it? I know I do.
Yeah.
Love my wine. But with the coaching, I really make sure people understand the difference between putting out content and hoping that people are going to pay attention, and actually developing a relationship where when you put
Mhm.
something out, somebody else is your champion and they're going to, share with others as well. So
Yeah.
that's a big thing, that makes a
Mhm.
difference, and that's how I help others build their companies. But they have to listen, and it's hard because people will fall back into their old habits, and I don't do it for them. If you want me to do it for you, you're going to pay me 3 times what you pay for me to tell you how. So,
Yeah.
again, with the service, how we are with our acronyms. What is it? DIY, DWY, and DFY are all very different categories. Doing
Mhm.
it yourself, I'll tell you how to do it. Do it with you, I'll show you how to do it, and watch you do it. And then DFY, if I'm doing it, you're paying a whole lot more for that.
Yeah.
So I really want to graduate clients into knowing how to do it themselves. So some will
Mhm.
go through all 3 of those progressions, which is totally fine. because I don't want someone to be reliant on me forever. I need to move on and help other people. I
Mm-hmm.
can't just stay, in one place, and I don't want to. I would like to have clients that are with me for 6 months, and within that 6 months, they learn everything, whether we go from, DIY, DFY to DIY, teaching them how to do it and become more independent, or how to hire somebody else to do it for them when it comes down to that.
Yeah.
Um, but the relationship marketing coaching has really been, I started it in January, kind of officially. That's when I started taking it seriously. I still haven't launched, even though I've probably had 15 clients, making good money doing it. I just need to actually launch my website and really put my real program out there. But
Yeah.
it's amazing seeing the transformation when people really do take the advice and recognize, okay, so I've never done it this way before. And I tell them exactly, right? But you called me because something's not working. So it's time to
Right.
try something new. So don't be
Mm-hmm.
afraid. And let's just go for this. And guess what? If it doesn't work, you've lost nothing, because we're going to keep trying different ideas until they do. Usually at
Right.
least one of my first three ideas absolutely
Mm-hmm.
land. Actually, usually three of them work. But sometimes only one works. And that's the beauty of it, is okay, let's analyze what we did and why it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so we keep on going and growing. So that's what I do. I call it the Grow with a Pro methodology. And PRO stands for the principles of relationship optimization. And one of my clients, actually one of my first mentees, it was a photographer as well.
Oh,
Oh my God,
cool.
how far she's come. It's it's amazing. She's getting into this plate now where she's going to become a photography coach, more so than doing all of her own gigs, because she has just elevated and expanded her game so much that people are like, how do we do what you do? And so now, with her wanting to cut down on the number of hours that she works, now she can take these, run these workshops, teach other people these principles, get paid on them, and not have to work
Mm-hmm.
as many hours behind the camera herself. So it's really cool. I love the fact that my same methodology has worked for people in the service industry of all different kinds, you
Yeah.
know?
It's, I
So
mean, running a business in general isn't too different between the different businesses. It's like the product that's different, but the bare bones of it is pretty um the same across the board.
it's, yeah, you're absolutely right. The structure and the framework of it all is very, very similar. And you can take the exact same principles and use them with all different businesses. Of course, you have to
Yeah.
change a couple of, happy's glads, and figure out, okay, this widget needs this particular thing. But at the end of the day, these basics, that foundation, really is the same for everyone. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have that strong foundation, you're building a house of cards. So you can build this gorgeous castle in sand, and guess what's going to be? A pile of rubble as soon as that sand shifts. So
Mm-hmm.
I teach people the foundation, and then what you do in the middle, and then how you take that all, and now let's put it all out there and go get this business. Because some people outgrow, well, this is what how I build business. We outgrow our stretch pants. So I make it so that business has so much more demand than supply that we're forced to grow. And it's very uncomfortable, but it's less uncomfortable than having no demand for all of this supply. So once people get that, it's like, okay, let's go. So yeah, so that's what I
Mm-hmm.
love to do.
Yeah, and I think I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, but I have been thinking about investing in like photography business coaching soon. Just because I've come to the realization that like I can either sit here and try to figure everything out on my own and like struggle for a year possibly, or I could just pay someone to really like dive into my business with me and
Hmm.
teach me to make more money where the price of paying for coaching is irrelevant because I'm going to make enough to pay for that plus more. And but a mindset shift that I'm currently going through is like I have to be willing to accept their help and like
Mm.
willing to take action too, because you can't walk into, at least my opinion is that you can't walk into coaching or anyone to help you with your business and not be willing to change the way you do things. Like, have you ever seen Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay? And he
Oh my
comes in
God,
and
really
he's
not
like, "You
interesting.
suck at cooking. Let me teach you how to cook better." And then the cook is like, "No, I've been doing it this way for 30 years." And he's like,
Yeah,
"That's your problem." And you just have to be willing to accept the help and take
yeah.
action. And that's definitely something I've been telling myself. Even like this morning, I was like, I have to be mentally prepared for what they're going to tell me because they know better than I do.
You hit it right on the head. When you're an entrepreneur, you're used to either figuring out yourself or just
Mm-hmm.
or making it happen. And so accepting help and recognizing that you don't know what you don't know, again, can be very uncomfortable. So it's not an easy thing to teach an entrepreneur something, seriously,
Yeah.
because we don't think we know everything, but we think we can figure out anything. And we
Yes. Yeah.
can. But
Mm-hmm.
why not take that shortcut so that instead of picking up pennies, you're making your dollars make sense with an
Mm-hmm.
S. So that's another one of my little coined
Ooh,
phrases.
yeah.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
catchy.
yeah, I like it. Yeah, my other one is make minions to make millions. That's my
Oh,
newest one. I love that.
nice. I
Yes,
love that.
but so yeah, so what you're saying is absolutely right, and that change in mindset of I'm going to get this coaching so that I can make more, money, and spend less time doing it, do it more
Mm-hmm.
efficiently. And the biggest, most crucial thing after setting that foundation so that you're ready to accept more business is making your business fit who your signature client is. When you are sitting there saying, anybody who needs a picture taken is my client, that's pretty broad because that's not true.
Yeah.
So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, Kristen, do you want newborns, pets, cars, landscapes? What do you like to focus on taking pictures of?
I do weddings and high school seniors, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. And all high school seniors, even at that point, may or may not be your client. Are they high
Right.
school seniors who are looking to go to college that need a portfolio, that need headshots? Are they entrepreneurial themselves? Are they looking to
Mm-hmm.
go to a trade school? Do they hate taking pictures and they're only doing it for their parents? Or are they model material and they make great content for you for your social media content going forward as people who will say, absolutely, yes, use my pictures online. Now you've got
Mm-hmm.
free models, right?
Yeah.
So honing in on, okay, it's high school seniors, which high school seniors, and it may
Mm-hmm.
even go, further down from that. Is it high school seniors with parents who who have 6 kids, or do they have, one kid and they're going to go
Yeah.
crazy on these big packages, or is it like, look, we need the bare minimum. So now you have your tiers, right, of different
Mm-hmm.
offers that you have. But as long as you know that those high school seniors are who you're looking at, all right, are they public school high school seniors? Are they private school? Are they, is it both? And how do you structure the packages for each, one of those sets? But just trying to
Mm-hmm.
say, I'm a photographer, I'll take pictures of whatever you want, you will be spread so thin. You
Yeah.
would end up having, I'm pretty sure high school senior pictures aren't the same cameras that you use for real estate pictures, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like different settings and different things to do and different,
Mm-hmm.
lighting, and, it's just a whole different animal.
Yeah.
So
And you're not going to feel as fulfilled either.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That is, you hit it on the head, and that's the point. I love my business. I love my winery and brewery tour business. I absolutely do. But I also recognize that I don't have the same passion for its growth as I did for its build. I guess
Right.
maybe I'm a venture capitalist without the capital. I get such
You're
joy
doing
out of
great.
building something up, right? Building something up and then leaving it for somebody else to do
Yeah.
is awesome, So yeah, so recognizing that niche is something that a great coach can do for you. Additionally, a great coach is going to expose your blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
And I had plenty of them. I didn't even know I had a blind spot, right? And so
Yeah.
when you get that right coach and they really dig in with you on your business, who you are, what your ego is, what the ego of your ideal client is, and then now how do we put all this together to really make this solvent package that is just so it's just so well put together that you're not wasting time advertising to the high school seniors who are just doing it for their parents and could care less, or
Right.
you're not going to the schools that already have a set photographer in them. And so you're wasting your time advertising to them because they've already got somebody that all of them use,
Yeah.
all of those things that we don't even think about. Because when we're so close in on it, it's just hard to really see. One of the things one of my coaches says, you can't read the label from inside the jar.
Yeah.
And so that's why having a coach is the one that's looking on the label of that jar. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, I know you're inside here and you don't realize that this is what people are looking in on. So let me help you make that connection.
Hmm.
So yeah, coaching when you're trying to elevate your business makes all the difference.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, after my first coaching, we do these mansion retreats in Orlando. And after the first retreat, I just didn't think that I was going to sign up for it. I just thought I would do the one retreat. I know what I need to know and I could take it and deploy it all. I
Yeah.
realized that wasn't how it worked. And so I went live on Facebook and I was like, Derek Jeter has a coach. Serena Williams has a coach. Michael Jordan had a coach until the day he retired. What makes me think that I don't need a coach if I'm looking to be one of the greatest at what I do?
Yeah.
And by the way, my coach, who is a millionaire, she has a coach.
Hmm.
So it's just something that makes sense when you're really trying to be in an elevated position within your industry. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited to help to get people there. And by the way, my goal again is to graduate them from what I've taught them for their foundation and their principles to now you can go hire someone to help to keep you that trajectory going like this on your path. But I've given you that foundation that you can start with and always rely on for your next level of growth.
Hmm. That is fantastic. Do you have any like veterans resources that you could share for someone starting a business? Or I know that there's a lot out there that no one knows
Yeah.
about. Do you have any that you want to share?
Gosh, what have I used? So our SBA,
Hmm.
the SBA in Virginia is fantastic. So I would, and every state has one. So the Small Business Association, they have a military division that really does focus on helping out with military members. SCORE, fantastic. I found my trademark lawyer on SCORE. I found somebody else on SCORE too. And my sister's a mentor. I fully intend once I retire to become a SCORE mentor because it is free resources and they match you up with the right person who understands your journey. So if you say, I'm a veteran, recently separated from the military, and I intend to start this business, but I don't know where to start. They will get you in with that person who has what you want. Are you going to be a product or a service? Okay, you're in the service industry and you want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, this is the SCORE mentor for you who understands what separating military members need and if you're a retiree, what you're eligible for, grants, all of those things. So SBA and SCORE are the two biggest organizations that I would 100% recommend for those of us who are, separating from the service or retiring. And then the third one would be find good veterans military groups on Facebook. Some of them are just garbage. All they want to do is complain and bitch and moan about the VA. But there are others in there that have coaches for military members that are
Hmm.
really out there to do good. And when you locate those, communicate in those, really dig in on those, you will find your people and you will find that support and you'll find out about resources that veterans only share with veterans. They're not out there
Yeah.
in Gen Pop and it's like a private club that's just got that next level of support.
Yeah. Those large veteran groups are nice. That's how I got most of my guests on this podcast. But beyond asking for people to be on my podcast, most of the stuff in there is not positive. So I would definitely recommend, I'm going to do that too, finding like smaller groups with less than not 40,000 members, you know?
Oh, exactly. Hell, I'm
Yeah.
probably going to start one. I mean, it's like,
Oh,
there, and I've met so many really great hard charging veterans that are serious about this, that are not looking to just be hobbyists. They're really ready for that next level. They're really ready to take it to, the part of it where they're making their business. They made their passion their business. Now they're making their business their future. It's another
hmm,
good one. I'm going to need this video
yeah.
recording.
I'll just do a bunch of like little clips of all of your little catchphrases.
Seriously, all the time. Yeah, it's absolutely true, Kristen. Yeah, so finding that smaller but focused and helpful tribe means everything. So, and that's
Yeah.
what my coaching cohort has become for me, and I'm really, really, I'm proud of the work that I've been doing with them. The people that are in that group really are uplifting, and they really do care about each other, and it's a collaboration. There are other coaches out there in my cohort who also help people with collaborations and relationships in their communities, but we go at it in different ways and we supplement each other versus
Hmm.
competing with each other. So yeah, I see a lot of potential out there. I do love Facebook still. Look, I'm an old boomer, and I proudly wear that badge. And that's where I really am finding some of these elevated folks who don't have time to scroll. They are just really looking for the right connections, the right people, and they're going for it. So
Oh,
yeah, that's
Facebook is fantastic, and I think people underestimate it still just because it's like the old one of the group of social media platforms, but it is still
mhm.
like if I take the time to repost my content to Facebook, it always gets a share, it always gets like a comment or, it's yeah, definitely still powerful.
It really is. And then you're also trying to figure out, okay, well, who has the income to support what I'm charging? Because another post that I've made on my coaching page is if the people who are on your page can't afford your product, don't change your price, change your audience. You know,
Hmm.
if you're charging what you know you're worth, if you're not exorbitant and you're not overpriced and you really do believe in your pricing being correct, well, then don't let anybody dissuade you from that. So those are
Yeah.
just the types of things that people are like, what do you mean change my audience? How do I control that?
Hmm.
Oh, friend, there are so many ways you can control that. And by the
Yes.
way, you can make sure that you've got the foundation in place that already filters out those people who are going to push back on your pricing versus filtering out versus not even reaching the people who are ready to pay what you charge because they understand your value. And when people
Yeah,
spend so much time focused on price, they don't even they give themselves the chance to focus on value. So
I
yeah, that's
absolutely agree. That was another
yeah,
good little nugget of wisdom from Renee today.
just a little pointer.
Okay, last two questions are any advice that you would like to give? I mean, this whole episode has been nothing but great advice, but advice for a woman joining the military, and then advice for a female veteran or just woman in general starting a business.
Oh gosh. So advice for women joining the military. Go into a military as that sailor, soldier, airman, marine that you are, and stop worrying about your vagina being a label. Yes, we have our issues. Oh, this is true.
Yeah, yep,
Sure, we have some struggles. We have some things to overcome as women that men don't have to worry about. I have things to overcome as a Black woman that you, as a white woman, don't have to worry about. But if
yeah,
you, again, set that foundation of I'm a soldier, I'm a sailor, I'm an airman, I'm a Marine, that is what really comes first. And when you present yourself as such, you're treated as such. Do we have to pay a tax, so to speak, where we have to actually prove that we're not going to take every joke as a sexist remark that we're going to report up the chain? Are we going to be, do we have to show that we can pull our weight and prove, basically disprove that we can't prove our weight? We're
yeah,
not the default, right? Men are the default. They get to sit around and be like, oh yeah, of course everybody expects me to be able to do this. I'm a guy. For us as
yeah,
women, it's like, yeah, they don't always expect us to be able to do that. And then you get the, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're able to do that. I'm like, why couldn't you believe that? Of course I can. And then, even with being Black, oh, you're so articulate. Why would you expect me not to be? So we do have to overcome those, and there's way to deal with it. I've always dealt with it with humor. When I was the only female and the only junior enlisted on the watch floor when I got to Germany in 1990, I walked in and I thought of the most crass, dirty joke I could think of and told it within like 30 minutes of meeting everybody on the watch floor. And I was like, oh, was that too much? They're like, you're good, you're good. I'm like, okay, let's go. Figure out,
yeah,
find the line, cross it, and then come back. So yeah, I would just say lead with your brain and your passion and your intelligence, your talents and your skills. not with any of your body parts. And that's what people will see first instead. Uh,
Yeah.
not that it's not an uphill climb, but that's what I would say when if you're joining now. And be excited about joining. It is such a privilege and an honor to join and to serve your country. It's something that everybody doesn't do, everybody isn't qualified to do. So wear that badge of honor like the badass that you are and that you will
Yeah.
become, because what we get out of the military is something that other people just don't get ever. I mean, unless they have military parents who then, instill it into them.
Hmm.
But yeah, so be proud and use it to your advantage. When you are in the service, when you are a veteran, when you are retired, whatever it is, look, we're not making the kind of money we could in the private sector. We are going places that we might not want to go. We are serving with people that we might not want to be around, but we're making a commitment to our country. So take advantage of every single advantage out there for us. Um,
Yes.
it's amazing. It's an amazing community, and use it for what it's worth.
Yes.
And then
Amen.
you said, yeah, right. And what about, just real quick? I know we're a little over an hour, but with your military experience coming in, gosh, 8 years after I got out, how was it as a woman for you? Being on the flight lines and being in air, in air traffic. Was there a lot of things you had to overcome as a female?
Um, kind of. I was raised with a lot of very strict parents, but they were very good parents. And so I already knew like hard work and just like being, I don't know, I knew I was going to go into this job and I was going to be the best at it that I could, the
Mm-hmm.
best of myself, of my own version. And so I didn't really struggle too much because I worked really, really hard to make sure that I was up there with the rest of them. Um, and but my big thing I tell women joining is like kind of exactly what you said. Like, don't let the fact that you're a woman hold you back, and then don't be afraid to like be better than them, and
Right.
like just especially women in air traffic control. It's a very mentally demanding job, and you need like I don't know how else to word it. You need a good brain to
Yeah.
do the job. And historically, a lot of women aren't good at controlling aircraft. Most of them are like good enough. But it's hard to find a woman that's like really good and like
Mm-hmm.
considered one of the best in the group. And so you just, when you're a woman that is on par with the men, you're considered extremely good, and then because you're just expected to not be good.
Yeah.
Just like don't be afraid to be good, and then don't be afraid to take credit for being good. Like, and then if
Right.
someone has a problem with your success, just look them dead in the eyes and be like, it's because I'm better than you. Like, it's not because of it, like not better as a human, but just I'm
Right.
better at
Right.
my job than you, and that's why I got the credit. Like, don't be afraid, just be the jerk sometimes, you know? I get really passionate about it if you can't tell, but um like I got a lot of backlash for my like quick promotion and my awards that I got, but it was because I did the job and I did it well. And
Yeah.
anyone that had a problem with it, in my mind, I just told myself they're just jealous and they're not worth my time.
Yeah, and you
And
hit it
that
on
was the
the
end of it.
head. I mean, that is really something that we do as women, right? Is apologize
Mhm.
for being successful or try to make
Yeah.
someone feel better for us being better at what we're doing than they are. It's like, oh, I'm
Hmm.
sure John just had a bad day. I'm sure he's going to be right back at it tomorrow. No, we'll take our kudos. We'll take our BZs. We don't need
Hmm.
to give that up because, Johnny's fragile. No, Johnny needs a therapist then. That's not our job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally understand that. I think that's incredible advice. And the same thing goes for being in business. If you're going to start a business, find your
Hmm.
resources, plan so that you've got 3 months in the in the bank as quickly as you can, so that you now have
Yeah.
time to grow, time to fail. By the way, my biggest advice for starting a business: 2 words: fail up. That's all there is to it. Fail up. You are going to make mistakes. You are going
Hmm.
to fail. You are going to have ideas that are just garbage, that will not work. And guess what? That's part of the whole thing. The only way to have a great idea is to start with a good one that doesn't work out or isn't doing what you need. And so now you
Yeah.
make it do better. When you're not afraid to fail and you take failing up as your philosophy, you get excited when something doesn't work. I mean, just an example, just recently, I was trying to put together a bus to go to a bus full of people to go to a concert to support somebody in their community that, I was like, you know what? She's a great recording artist. She really needs more. Let me see if I can put together a bunch of people who want to go for, use this VIP transportation to go to her concert, right? Not that far, everything else. Not a single person said they wanted to do it. And I'm like, why not? She's such a great artist. It's a great idea. There's, you don't have to worry about driving. Okay, well, number one, it was a short distance. Uber was a lot less expensive. It wasn't the price point on the concert was so low that it didn't make sense to pay the same amount to get there as it took for the tickets. I didn't consider any of that when I was, thinking, I'll just do it, less expensive, for my business, but this should work. And it didn't. So what I took away from that was looking at all of those logistical things first. Had the concert been 45 minutes away from the pickup point that I was suggesting, might have gotten more traction. Had it been $100 price point for the ticket instead of 50, might have gotten more traction. So all these different things that you just learn as you just go through and try to make decisions to do something, it's just helpful. I mean, it's just, you have to look at that as, okay, I didn't fail. I just didn't hit the mark that time. Next time I'm going to hit that mark.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Where
thank
can
you too.
people find you? I know you said your coaching website isn't up, but what like social media can people find you on?
Sure. So reneeventrice.com is my website that right now goes to my Facebook page, but it will be going to the actual website sooner rather than later. And Cork and Keg Tours is the name of my winery brewery tour company. So Kristen, with you right there in wine country, right up north of me, you should absolutely make sure you find a way to get down here and do a tour.
I
We'll do a
will.
live broadcast from wine country.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that would be awesome. And I'll like photograph it for you too. That would be so fun.
Oh, look at that. Perfect. Look, we've already got a collaboration going, right?
Yes,
You
love some
come,
collabs.
you'll photograph us doing that. We'll bring one more person that we'll interview and
Yeah.
and then I'll take your camera and take pictures. And then we can
Okay.
show how an expert uses the camera and how an amateur uses the same camera and why they should hire
See,
you
this is
and
all
not just recommend.
TikTokable. That's great. We're gonna make plans when we get off this then.
Awesome. This is great.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
reaching out and for inviting me, Kristen. It's
Of
fun to share
course.
stories and it's fun to hear stories. And I hope that we've got more to talk about since we're pretty much neighbors.
Yes, absolutely. We will. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you too.